Hey guys, excited that you could join us for another episode of Braving It. Woo! Today we are braving it. We really are. I'm so excited about our guest this morning. Yes, it is morning today. And my guest today is Pandora Mabai. Guys, she is a phenomenal woman. She is bold. She is fierce. She is brave. And that's why we're doing this with her, because she fits the criteria of those who are braving it with us. Pandora, welcome to the show, my love. How are you?
I'm amazing.
I'm good.
Enjoying the coffee. Thank you so much, Loretta.
It's a pleasure. Just don't say who the brand name is. They're not paying us.
No. The coffee is divine.
Coffee is divine.
It's keeping me warm in this cold morning.
Good. And I'm glad you said yes. So thank you.
No, it's an honor to be here.
Oh, man.
We are here to give the best of who we are to the world and to impact lives. That's and just to do what we are born to do.
To do what we're born to do. Yes. I love that. So listen, so I understand that you studied marketing and
yes,
that
I did.
You worked in corporate South Africa, are today an inspirational speaker as well as a marketing consultant. So yours is a love for marketing.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll talk about that a bit later on, but I want to delve into a conversation that you and I had some few weeks back. So I've only known you for a few weeks now. So glad that I met you. And in our conversation, Pandora, in fact, when we met, the conditions under which we met was not for the intention of you coming onto the show. It was for many other reasons. But it was when you started to speak, and it was something that you said that stayed with me. And I thought, this is the perfect guest for Braving It. So my understanding is that you are doing public speaking in the form of inspirational speaking.
Yes, I do.
And then I asked you, I said to you, what do you talk about? To which you replied, there was a way.
I'm a runaway bride.
There you
That's
go.
That's the word. I'm a runaway bride. From a multi-millionaire.
I was like, what? Okay, wait, we've got to double click on this and it needs to be done on the show, on Braving It. So I'm glad that you could do this with me. I know it is a really sensitive journey that you've had, and I'm so glad that you are able to brave it and share with others as well, because like they say, we don't go through things for ourselves but for other people.
Yes.
Do you believe in that as well?
I do. Nothing is a coincidence.
That's it.
That's what I live by. And everything that we go through, it is for us to empower, to impact, inspire, and encourage others.
That's it.
That's what it's all about.
So babe, tell me, I wanted to lean in on this conversation a lot more. But I thought, how do I even begin such a conversation when you say that you were a runaway bride from a millionaire?
A multi-millionaire.
A multi-millionaire. I was like, okay, we need to start from the beginning. So I want you to maybe just set us up here. What was your upbringing like?
All right. So me, I'm born out of teenage pregnancy. My mom was 17 when she had me. And it was her first encounter. And boom, Pandora was there.
Okay.
She was young. And when my mom fell pregnant, my mom was still in school. And my dad denied me at birth, my biological dad. he denied that that was his doing. And because my mom was still very young and she was still under the guarding of her parents, she had to drop out of school. And growing up, for me, I was saying mama to her mother and tata to her dad, because I'm raised in this family where everyone is calling these two individuals mama no tata. And my mom, I still call her by name to date because she was like a sister to me. I was raised in a very religious, strict background. So my grandfather was originally from the villages of the Eastern Cape, but moved to Cape Town while he was young and started building a life. So the village boy came with his village mindset into the city, which at that time I didn't understand because I thought he was too strict on us. We were not allowed to play with other kids. There were too many rules. The don'ts and the do's. And the do's was church every Sunday. You don't even negotiate that one. He puts a padlock on his gate and everyone in his house must go to church. For me, I was raised in that space where I'm growing up with my cousins and my mom and her sisters, out of this young woman who became a mom as a young girl. And that was my upbringing.
Given how strict your grandfather was, and obviously very religious, like you're saying.
Yes.
How did he receive your mother's pregnancy?
That is why my mom still has only me as a child.
Wow.
My mom has never had a child again. She felt like it was a mistake. She felt like this is not what I planned for.
Yeah.
And for her to prove herself to her parents, she's never had a kid, even though she's married. She's never had a kid again.
Wow.
And I think it's that fear and the trauma that she went through when she was young. She tells me that her dad was angry with her until I was born. He was disappointed more than anything else.
So throughout her pregnancy?
Throughout her pregnancy, her dad was not happy with her of what she had done because we were raised in a way that we go to church.
That's it.
And that's it. And you wait until marriage before you do these things. And here you are, you're a humiliation to the family. So, yeah.
I understand all too well. So you then decide to leave. You were living in Cape Town at the time?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Then you
Born and bred.
Born and bred. Then you moved to Johannesburg.
Before moving to Joburg, I moved to PE to study.
PE to study.
Yes.
Okay. And then Joburg.
Then Joburg.
When you moved to Joburg, were there friends, family that you already knew who were already living here at the time?
Okay, so when I moved here, my boyfriend that I was dating at the time, who was working, he was a bit ahead of me. He was working at the time, so he had friends. He was in PE with me. We met in PE. So he had friends that were in Joburg already.
Sure.
That he contacted and said, look, Pandora just finished school and she's looking for a job and she wants to come to Joburg. And can you please accommodate her? So I was accommodated by my boyfriend's friends. And I went to stay with them in Pretoria, Sunnyside.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had no family, no friends. Those were the people that I was coming to when I came here.
And then how did you then meet your ex-fiancé?
So my ex-fiancé, I met him in the nightlife. Being raised in a very strict religious background, you're always curious, what is life like on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, of course.
So when I got here, number one, I dropped church. I was like, I am not doing that thing again. Church must just go. Because then it was not about the relationship that I have right now with my God. It was about religion. There's a difference between a relationship with God and religion. Huge difference. There is a relationship with God and there's religion. So I was raised in a religious background. So you don't even understand. You are there the whole day as a child. You are hungry. People are preaching. You don't even understand what is happening, but you know that there's God. This is about God. So when I got here, I was like, church, you can wait. Not now. Can I just live my life? Can I just have my freedom? Can I do things that I had not done when I was back home? And one of those things, I just wanted to party. I wanted to live. And I thought for me, I thought that is freedom because other kids were doing it. So I met him at a party.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I met him in the nightlife.
And how old were you at the time?
When I met him, I was 26, 25, 26.
25, 26.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Around,
okay.
yes.
All right.
Because we got engaged when I was 28 years.
All right. So you meet this guy. And how long were you together for before he proposed?
About 3 years.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so
3
there
years,
was a base,
we
there was
were
a foundation.
Yes.
You really felt like, okay, I've been with this guy long enough now for you to get to a point where you could say, yes, I'll marry you.
You see, he was older than me.
What was the gap? The age
11
gap?
years.
Okay.
11 years older than me. And I always say, especially to the men, be there for your girl child. Because if you are absent as a father, she's going to look for you in a man. I was looking for my dad. I was looking for the love of my father. And he gave me that. And I thought that was love. So
I was actually about to ask you, sorry to interrupt you, to say, I want you to expand on that a little more. Because my next thing that I wanted to ask you is, what attracted you to him? So it's exactly that you identified, you were looking for a father in him.
yes.
Anything else that he put out that really, made you attracted to him?
I always say in my talks, your associations and your relationships will determine where you're going with your destiny. So here I was with this group of women who have been living the nightlife in Joburg.
Okay.
So I was a Jamie come to Joburg.
Yes.
When you're the new kid on the block, everything is on you. So when we got to the party, I could see that expensive cars are here, because in Cape Town, in order for you to see such, it's a white person driving it.
Okay.
And it's different. You have to go to Camps Bay to see a Bentley. But here we are, it's just us in this party, and all these people are driving these cars. For me, I was seeing things that I had not seen before in the way that I was raised and where I was coming from. And when I told my friends, this guy seems like he's got an interest in me, but he looks old. I even said it, but he looks old. But the next question was, do you know who he is? He's whoever he drives that,
Is this now one of your friends?
Yes.
But do you know who he is?
Who he is.
Oh.
So you better give him attention.
Okay.
And then I started looking at the material things that he was having, because I was told that that's him that drives whatever,
That car that you saw outside.
So he's a good contact to have. And at that time, I'm looking for a job in Joburg, and I thought, why not? Why not?
And so eventually you start dating. So he pursues you.
Yes, he pursues me.
And you start dating.
I start dating.
At which point did he start to change his mannerisms?
There was always that behavior somewhere in him where you could see that the person is a bit insecure, but obviously you try to make excuses for it. Like if he gets to your place and you're not there, where were you? Those kind of questions. But when women, there's something about us and our nature as human beings that we tolerate, and sometimes we make excuses. Maybe I made him angry. I should have told him where I was going. Now you feel like you are the one that's doing the wrong, because here's this guy who's helping you with so much right now. As much as I had a job, he was taking care of my place. Here's this guy who's helping me. Why am I not reporting in when I'm going?
When you say you had a job, but he was taking care of your place, what does that mean?
So for me, I got a job. As much as I was a marketing graduate, I had a job at a call center. That was my first job. When I took the job, my mom said to me, you got to start somewhere. Your foot is inside. So now that you are inside, just work your way up. Because you know what you've studied, they will see who you are, and then you could grow from there. So he moved me from Pretoria to Johannesburg to a guest house, because my job was in Joburg. So he was taking care of the guest house.
So he wanted you to be closer to your work.
To be closer to my work, and for him as well, because he was based in Joburg. He was not based in Pretoria. So here he is, and when he gets there and I'm not there, and I decided to, where were you? But it would come in a way where you're like, I made him angry, and you try to make up.
And what else? So besides him saying, asking you, interrogating you on your whereabouts, were there other telltale signs that, maybe I'm in it too deep and this is not the one? Were there other things that he was doing or saying?
At the beginning, it didn't really show, but whenever I was out with my friends, especially like on Friday at work, I'm new, I'm living my life, I'm young,
Yes.
I'm partying.
Yeah.
So if I'm out with my friends, he would just pitch where I am.
How?
He would come, he would ask where you are. Oh, I'm at Capitol and Rosebank. The next thing, this guy is here. And he didn't even tell me that he's coming. Maybe my friend will be like, he's here. I'm like, oh, really? But for me, I thought, but this is love. He loves me, But now that I've matured, and you know what they say, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
I'm in a space where I know better right now.
Yeah.
That was a broken man that was insecure.
When you say that, broken man that was insecure, the whole time we kept referring to him as your ex, and at some point you mentioned runaway bride. What was it that may eventually got you to run away? Because we know a lot of people who are insecure within themselves.
Yes.
Their relationships still exist. They go on for years and years. Was there for you a breaking point, that point where you said, I am now leaving this guy?
So just to give people an understanding, because here I was staying in a guest house, eventually moved in with him in the estate where he was staying, and we lived together.
Were you engaged at this point or not? Or you were still a girlfriend?
I was still a girlfriend. We got engaged while we were living together. And that's when I started seeing the real red flags, where I was beaten. If I've gone out and I come back, he would ask certain questions, and I started fighting back in that thing of, but nothing happened. Why must he interrogate me about my going out? And then I would get beaten. He was abusive emotionally and physically, and I've got scars to show of that. So the breaking point for me was, I can't stay here. If I stay here, I'm gonna die, because I started to see the other side of him, and I saw that he's a collector. That was my conclusion of my experience with him, that he is a collector of beautiful things. These are just things, like you've got the beautiful house, you've got the cars. Pandora is part of your objects. You don't see me as someone that you feel I'm growing and building with her. I've collected her in, and she is here. And at that time, he didn't want me to work, so he was giving me an allowance. And he had issues, because I'm this person where I am working and I'm doing events at the same time. I'm a hustler. I hustle, and I'm very passionate about a lot of things. And he used to ask me, so how much do you make out of these things? Once a month, I would host like events in a club. He told me I have to stop doing that. He can afford me. He wants to get married, but he wants a housewife. It sounds good at the beginning if you don't know true self. It sounds very good to be a housewife, because in your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to be home. I'm just going to get money. And it's exciting at the beginning, but when I got into it, I realized that something inside of me is dying. Someone is dying.
Trapped.
There's a sacrifice that I'm doing here. And that sacrifice is me losing me, because now I'm becoming someone else. I've got a driver that drives me around. If I'm out with Lirato and I'm in a restaurant, my driver is sitting right here.
How?
And waiting for me. And for me, I saw that this is control. I am being controlled. It's not, I don't have a driver because of convenience. I have a driver as a tracker in my life, so that he moves around with me. And those red flags, they just my bucket, you know, when you pour water into a bucket,
yes.
it started spilling out. And I was like, I can't do this.
It was a lot, honey.
can't
It
do
was a
this.
lot. You mentioned an allowance. Is it because so when he said that he ideally wants a housewife, etc. So did you resign from your job?
I resigned.
So and then he started to take care of you through the allowance.
Yes.
Afterwards, in hindsight, did it ever occur to you, or did you ever entertain the thought of putting money away? Now that you're seeing all these red flags, did the thought of leaving cross your mind at that point? And did you even go as far as thinking, let me start putting away some money in case this whole thing does not work out?
At that point in time, one thing we lack is financial understanding.
Okay.
When you've got access to finances, we have not been taught wisdom with money. What do you do with money when you've been blessed with it? So for me, I was far from the woman that I've become now. I didn't think that I needed to save because I always thought maybe he's going to change, you know, maybe he's going to change. And I was lacking financial wisdom. I was lacking financial education on what it means to save, what it means to take money and put it aside. Because when I decided to leave, it was literally 1 month away from my wedding day.
So before we get there, you know, the whole time as you were speaking, I'm thinking your mom, you know, maybe your cousins, your family, were any of these people aware of what was happening in your home?
My mother was.
Your mom was?
My mom was.
Okay.
And we're raised in a family where everything is kept within. And I think that is what kills a lot of people, not being able to speak to others. If it's happening here, it must be kept here. Other people must not know about it. And I used to speak to my mom, and my mom would talk to him. They would talk, and he would promise to change. And I used to tell my mom that I make him angry. I started taking the blame because I think it had a lot to do with the financial dependency. I didn't want to lose that. And you're trying to please this person.
Trying to behave.
You're trying to be a good girl. You know. You're trying to be, in my mind, I was trying to be a good girl. But trying to be a good girl, it was costing me the real good girl that was within.
So for mom, when he would engage mom, and he was making promises to say, I'm going to change, I'm going to do better, did she believe him? So
Yes, she did.
Okay, so she believed him.
My
and
mom
gave him
believed in him.
Okay.
She
so
did.
he had won her over, and
They used to get along very, very well. Very, very well. And I think what leads to many being killed today is that mentality of, let's keep it here. This is people should not know our stories. People should not know. It's gonna bring humiliation to the family. Let's sit on it, you know. And I believe that is the reason why people are being killed. So to you, I am saying, speak up. Your voice is important. Your story matters. You are born to make an impact. Speak up.
And talking about speaking up, was there anybody else that you felt safe enough to tell besides your mother who you thought could assist you in getting out of the relationship?
I had a best friend, Zwandile, may his soul rest in peace.
Oh, he's passed on.
Yes, he's passed on. So my friend was gay, and I love them so much because they're so loyal to friendship. He was the only one person, and he was in Cape Town. Because within my circles, we are this A-class girls that we are getting married, or some already married. So I started meeting wives of his friends, and I couldn't speak to them because of their relationship.
Yes.
And I had my own friend that I used to tell. And Zwandile used to tell me, walk away, friend. And I'm like, but how? Where do I go? You know? Up until we plotted my exit together. Yes. Up until we plotted my exit together.
And what did that look like, that plotting, that exit?
So he used to visit. Whenever he was in Johannesburg, he would come and be based with us. So he
Stay at your place.
stayed at
With
our
you
place.
and your ex.
Yes.
Okay.
So he said, look, we had to cook up a story. He said, look, tell him that I've got an interview in Joburg. I need to be there with you guys. And then you and I, we need to sit down because this telephone thing is not working. You and I, we need to sit down and we see how we're going to do this because you need to walk away. That beating of that day was so bad. I was bleeding. It was bad. It was bad.
When you eventually said, I'm going to
I was
die
like,
here,
no,
I'm leaving.
I'm leaving.
Okay.
And it got so bad where I used to drink. I became an alcoholic because there was a bar in the house. So I used to drink so much to numb myself. And even when I had to make love to him as my fiancé, I used to drink so that I don't feel anything. He must just do what he wants to do. And my friend flew in and I told him that no, Mzondile, I told him, no, my friend is coming to Joburg. He's got an interview. He normally stays with us. So there's no issue there, you know. And he came and he stayed with us for about 3 weeks before we left. And we were plotting on what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Where are we going to go? So he started speaking to some of his friends on where we can go. And he said, Pandora, we need to walk out of here. So for us, we were sitting daily. And then he traveled. He went to Brazil at that time for a week.
Your ex?
My ex,
Okay.
he traveled. And then Mzondile and I were like talking on what is the exit strategy. And we sat and we plot. And there was no interview. There was no interview for a job. His interview was me.
Oh, of course. Yes.
His interview
it was a
was me.
fabricated story.
Yes.
There was no interview.
No,
he
there
was
was no
coming to help
interview
you leave the
for
relationship.
me to go because
Yeah.
my fear was there's a gun in the house. I know that for a fact. Should I walk alone? Maybe I could die here. So I needed someone who was going to be there as a witness should anything happen. And there was no way as a public figure he would go that far with someone being present.
Oh, he was a public figure.
Yeah, he was in the public eye.
Okay. So he was an established person in the
Yes.
public eye. Okay. So now he's in Brazil. You said Brazil.
Yes,
You're plotting. Do you wait for him to come back before leaving, or you leave while he's away?
No, when I left, he was back. But we had already secured a place where we were going to go to because money was not there because I did not save much money.
Yeah.
So we were looking on where are we going to stay. When we leave here, the most important thing is the roof over our head. Where are we going to go? And we were busy sorting that out.
Yeah.
And we found a communal house in Randburg. So we were moving there when we were leaving Fourways. We're like, okay, at least this week, we've spent it out to see where can we go.
Okay. But now, so he comes back. That day, that hour, that moment when you now decide, let's take the bags, let us go. He's in the house. Your ex is in the house.
He's in the house. Already he knew that I was saying I want out. I told him that I don't want to be here. And when I told him that, I think he didn't really believe what I was saying because he knew the dependency that I have on him. And I was reminded immediately that, but where are you going to go? Because everything that's here is mine. And that is where Mzwandile could step in and say, but she doesn't want anything from here. Akafuni into. She just wants to walk out. It became very ugly because we were fighting in those 2 weeks. There was war in the house. But in the midst of that war, I felt safe because my friend was here.
Was there.
My friend was here. He could see what I've been going through. And he could not touch me like he used to because Mzwandile used to tell him, go through me to get to her.
Okay.
Why would you fight a woman who's not going to fight back at you? So this is what she's been going through. This is what she has been enduring with you. And even prior to Mzwandile coming, I remember, I always say when we at our lowest, that's when we remember who God is. Because there was a time where I got to a space of saying, I need church. I need something that's bigger than me. So the foundation that I was given was coming back. And when I went to church, I remember I went to Rhema Bible Church, and I sat right to the back. And sitting right at the back, I'm trying to hide from the world because I did not see myself as someone that belongs here. I am not supposed to be seen here. I am just, in my mind, I was like, no, I just need to go in and go out. Little did I know that I would end up in front and surrendering and saying, God, I give myself to you. And when I did that, that is when there is something about the relationship with God. The minute you surrender to Him, it's like there's a veil that's removed from your eyes. And that is when I told Mzwanile, I need to leave. It's time for me to walk out. Hence, he came over. Okay. So I started having that relationship with God. I went crying to God on my knees and saying, what do I do? What do you want me to do? What must I do? My life is a mess. This is not what I had envisioned when I said, I'm coming to the city of gold. What do you want me to do?
And that is when the wisdom of God said...
That's when the wisdom started. And I remember praying. And the only prayer I knew was Our Father. I didn't know any other prayer. But every day I started praying. And there was something foreign in that house because he's self-made. I've never seen him pray. And I was also living that way because there were choices that I made as well. And Mzwanile being there and coming through, that was an answered prayer.
Absolutely.
It was an answered prayer. He came after I leaned on God. And I knew that God was with me.
So that moment when you are now leaving the house, you've said how unhappy you are now leaving. Did he try to physically stop you from walking out with Mzwandile?
The physical part of it was taking everything that was his. I mean, the black cards, the money.
Oh, he's like, bring my things, bring my things.
That was the physical, where he was saying, you're not walking away with anything. And at that moment, I've got to drive. I don't have a car. I don't have nothing. Nothing. And Mzwanile was, we are going to be fine. Do not worry. The little that I have, we will make something out of it.
Wow.
The little that I have, it's going to take you to where you need to be. And that was the physical of fighting. His physical fight was to take everything that belonged to him. And for me, that was my freedom. That's all that mattered. My freedom.
And so the friends that you had established, the ones who actually even introduced you to say, do you even know who this guy is? The ones who you were hanging around with at that time.
Yes.
Did they fizzle out of your life?
They did.
After that?
People fizzle out of my life because there was a certain caliber of people that were sitting at his table. And people outgrow people. People also continue. If you're always unavailable, because I became unavailable to people. When you are always unavailable, people are going to walk away. People have lives to live. So they were no longer part of my life because Pandora had become someone else now.
Housewife,
and whenever people are calling, I was always busy. No, I'm busy. No, I've got this. And people can only go so far. So I chased people out of my life because I had a different lifestyle.
So now you are picking yourself up.
Yes.
What does that now look like, Pandora? No driver, no allowance, no job, no rent money.
We stayed in a communal house with Mzwanile, and I said, look, I've done events before. I've worked. I've been working. And I was taken out of work. And I allowed that to happen. I had this fighting spirit in me that let me start looking for a job. We're going to find a job. When I find a job, he was also looking. Mzwanile was also looking. And we were like, okay, we're going to find a job. Once we find a job, we're going to get a townhouse. We're going to share it. And my friend, we're going to pick ourselves up.
Wow.
But those were the most humbling times of my life, because here you are with these number of people from different countries in the same house. You know, a communal house is a space where you find, it's a 5-bedroom house, but there's so many people living here in the space. And you share the common areas, which is the TV area, the bathrooms, but it's different people with different struggles. Some have kids, some are here to look for jobs. There's a lot that's happening. And I don't think I would have gotten through that without God, because that's when I'm in Randburg, I'm going to church, Rhema. We used to go to Rhema, would catch a taxi and go to Rhema, go to church. That is when I started having a relationship with God, a real relationship with God, because I started knowing that what I was taught back home was religion. And now I'm coming to understanding that God loves me. God doesn't judge me. God wants me as I am. At my lowest, that was the time where I prayed so much. And the more I was in this relationship with this amazing, infinite God, the creator of it all, there was faith that was building me. There was hope that was building me. And within that time, I started having thoughts of how many other girls out there are actually at Pandora. We hide behind these big cars, these big addresses, these big bank accounts. At what cost? Why are we wearing a mask? And that's when I knew that I had a voice and I had a story that needed to be told in order for me to impact lives.
Sure, I'm so glad that you say that about other people out there. There's a lot of young men, women who are trapped.
Yes.
Exactly the same way you were back then. What advice would you offer them? They're not, let's say they're not happy, they're feeling trapped, not sure how to get out. How would you advise them to start looking at leaving practically?
It starts with you knowing self first. Who are you? Because the woman that I've become was trapped because I did not open myself up. I did not allow myself. Be true to you first, and be very deliberate about your purpose, and do not be willing to trade it for anything. Because we tend to think that I need to go to school, get married, have money, live happily ever after. That's not why we're here. That's not the only reason why we're here. Who are you? What are you here to do? So if you are trapped, I am saying to you, be true to the child that's inside of you that you are trying to numb every day of your life, because I used to numb her with alcohol. That voice speaks to you. So I say, listen to that inner voice. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your gut, whatever you want to call it. Do not ignore that voice, because with that voice, that's where all truth lies.
And what sort of signs should one be looking out for? Red flags, telltale signs that this guy, this woman is not the one for me.
You see, when we come into, everything is a relationship. This is a relationship. Friends are a relationship. Romantic partners are a relationship. Everything is a partnership. In partnership, what are we looking for? We're looking for growth, to build each other, and to understand who is Pandora and how can I help her to bring out the best that is in her. That is the first step that you should know, that I am here to be built, to grow, and to bring out the best that is me. But if it's coming with too many don'ts. Don't, you can't. And if it comes with someone that is very insecure, don't settle for it, no matter how good it looks. You cannot be told not to do something, because at the end of the day, we are all free-spirited. We are here to encounter certain things in our lives. I believe in two things in life. I believe in two things. They are lessons and they are blessings. What I went through was a lesson for me to grow and become better. Now, if there are restrictions and you are told not to do certain things, on whose box? What is the reason of me not doing certain things? So if he's going to shout at you, if he's going to raise his voice at you, because that's what I experienced. Those were my red flags. He used to raise his voice, randomly pitch with unannounced. Those are signs of an insecure person. So look out for those things. And in partnership, you discuss things that I would like to try this. I would like to get into this. Allow people, give people freedom to be who they want to be. If there's a lesson in it for them to learn, in order for them to be able to teach and to grow, why will you restrict it? What is it for? Is it for me and my own safety, or is it to benefit your insecurities?
Sure. That is amazing. That is so well captured, because we are living in a time where there's a lot of pressure for people to make it, where there's a lot of pressure for people to be seen to be doing well. And so I think sometimes we compromise ourselves in the pursuit of living up to expectations. And so thank you for that, for just citing that as it is not worth it. And I love the angle that you brought in, which was the godly angle that you brought in.
Yes.
You know, to say it was when you were at your lowest that you realized who you needed the most.
Yes.
And that is where you arrived, and that was home for you. And that's where you started to build your life.
Exactly.
And move on.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you on the building of your life, on the moving on. You spoke about, you had done events, so you started to do events again, etc., etc. Pandora, you are at a point in your life right now where I presume that there's a lot that you want for yourself.
There's so much.
Much that you want for yourself.
Like the Pandora's box has so much
that you want. And so this is a platform. I don't want you to come here and share and build us and pour into us and have people not pour back into you. And so I would love for you very much for you to use this platform, this time right now to tell, because you don't have a business of your own, as services. Look, you are a marketing consultant, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But there's probably more to what you have to offer and what you do that you could perhaps be sharing with people right now who may want to pour into your life in the same way that you've just poured to people out there. So maybe this is your time. Let us know, how do we pour back into your life after such an insightful conversation that we've had with you?
So for the past few years, what I've been doing, I could pick myself up and get out of the communal house, obviously, and start building Pandora. And I found a job and I was working, but I've been speaking. I've been this inspirational speaker that gets booked by corporates, public sector, private sector, schools, churches. People invite me because it's an authentic story that people can relate to. It's a challenge that people are going through. Then COVID came because I was working as a marketing manager for L'Oreal, South Africa. And then in 2015, I left my job. And I was like, let me just focus on my public speaking, because it was taking off. And I was really, really, really enjoying what I was doing. COVID came. And when COVID came, I'm like an artist, I'm like a musician. Without conferences, without events, there's no work. So for the past 2.5 years, I have struggled in the industry whereby there was no income that's coming in. And I had to, you always need to evaluate where you are and be true to yourself of where you are at this moment. I'm grateful that I am still where I am in terms of home. Yes, I've lost a few things due to COVID, but I said, what else can you do? Public speaking, yes, it's there, and you've built your brand. And I said, Pandora, go back to corporate. Go back and serve as a marketer, because I love marketing. It runs through my veins. So now I'm in a process of looking for a job where I'm applying, and I want to go back because I can do all things through God that gives me the strength.
Amen.
So I know that during the week I need to be in the office. On weekends, like I am now on a Saturday, here we are sitting. I'll be doing my public speaking. So that's where I'm at right now. I want to go and give all that I have, because there's so much that we can do. And COVID has taught us that you need to spread yourself. You cannot box yourself on one thing. So I'm looking for more gigs and opportunities, platforms where I can speak while I'm working as a marketing manager. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a job now.
Oh, I love that. And you shall receive it.
I'm looking for a job.
I mean, after all of this pouring and pouring, you are going to get it right back. Double fold.
Thank you.
That's what
so
I wish for
much.
you. That is my wish for you, honestly
you.
speaking. And the last question that I have for you is, what does success look like? Look, you had the material things. You had the cars, you had the house, you had all these wonderful things. And so I must ask today, what does success look like?
I remember when I was posting this morning about coming here, I've got a very favorite song by Beyonce that says, I was here.
Yes, I know it.
She says in that song, I want to leave footprints in the sense of time. So for me, success is me serving humanity in what I was born to do. Success is about the lives that I impact, even if it's one. Out of that one, whatever they take from me, they have an opportunity. In fact, they are given an opportunity to do the same for others. So for me, success is about the footprints on the sands of time that I'm going to live when I die. That is my standard of success. People will be speaking about Pandora, even when I'm not here. Not on the material things, but on what she came to do and did it with courage, tribulations, victory, brave heart, strong. And she came with a voice that was healing the world. That is my success. I don't want to be remembered in any other way.
Amen. Wow. Sure, I love that. I absolutely love that. You know, I keep saying that when I ask this question about success to all of the guests that come here, it is starting to take its own form right now, which is a new type of form that is, you know, void of materialism, that is just so true in its very essence and so authentic. And so thank you for echoing that and for living that out right now, which is what you're doing. You are leaving your footprint. Here you are literally doing it. So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank
you for coming onto the show. Thank
you,
babe.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to do what I love.
Yeah, I can tell that you're a bold speaker. You enjoy this.
I love what I do.
A lot of people are usually quite nervous. You know, they need things. Hey, what can I touch?
I was born to speak.
You were.
I was born to speak.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Guys, there you go. That is Pandora Mabai. You're a phenomenal speaker. I can't wait to see you embrace the world stages. This is just such a small platform. And I know that you're deserving of so many others to come. So all the best with your future endeavors.
And for me, I would say this is a big platform, because out of here, you never forget where you started.
Yes.
It starts with the seed in order for it to bear good fruits and big fruits.
And there you have it. Pandora Mabai. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Braving It. Thank you for supporting these conversations.